So last time we got into our second letter. Yes, we did. From a North Bend Thompson Salish person, and he was telling about some nameless person being bossy and arrogant and trying to get the people to act against the wishes of some priests. That was the topic of that. And the last that we read of that was Nisaika Tlushnanich Heloikta Mamuk Nisaika. We're being careful, not a thing are we doing. Rain, I have you first in my list. I think we were doing a couple of sentences per person, so how about that?
Okay, I'll do 13 and 14 then. P quantisum Nisaika stioi utul kopa Nisaika lalang. P Nisaika kanamax kopa icht house kanawe Nisaika kape chichin.
Not bad.
Kape
So that's name of a village in Thompson Salish.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So P quantisum Nisaika sti utul kopa Nisaika lalang, and all of us pray in our language.
Mm-hmm.
P Nisaika kanamax kopa icht house, and we together in one house. Kanawe Nisaika all are, and whatever the kape chichin is.
Well, it's Sandy Beach, I believe, in Thompson Salish.
Okay.
But anyway,
Sandy Beach.
I have an interpretation beyond that. Yeah, I think he's saying all of us Kapetchichins, all of us Kapetchichin people is how I take it.
So we come together in one house, all of us Kapetchichin people.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And word by word, real briefly, he's saying, and always we pray in our language, and we are together in one house, all of us Kapetchichins. So pretty straightforward. The topic had been something about who should be praying together and what language they should be using. Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay, Norbert, would you like the next two?
The next two. Okay, Yaka Wawa Post Nsaiga Halo Kuli Kopa Sunday. P Nsaiga Mamukakwa. Okuk Ichtman Delate Sahali Tamdam Kopa Nsaiga. Right, I think that's, he says or said that we shouldn't come on Sunday. We shouldn't go on Sunday. And we did just so. That one man is really very high-hearted and very arrogant towards us.
Yeah. And up here, the posts, I'm going to focus on the posts. He said, so that.
So that, yeah.
If it had been quoting him, saying he said that such and such, well, then there'd be no word whatsoever equivalent to that. There'd be no word introducing the quoted speech. So instead, this is, he's talking for a purpose, or he ordered us, he said, for us to not travel on Sundays. So again, some arguments over church regulations. And we did just so. We did that like that. This one man is really high-hearted. He's really arrogant to us. He's really bossy. Would be another translation of Sakhle Dumdum, I think. Sam, would you like the next two?
Yaka wawa okukman pinasaika halo chaco copa yaka house. Yaka tiki mamuk skookum house copa Louisa. He said, this man, and we didn't come to his house. He wants Mamuk Skookum House, Copa Louisa. Mamuk Skookum House. Well, the make the prison.
Skookum House is jail. Yeah.
Yeah, Skookum House to make a jail. Dave, need your help.
There's a dash after the mamuk. That's a hint.
So it's a idiomatic expression.
Yeah, so it's not making a jail, but instead it's, mamuk dash is sort of causing.
Making it like a jail in Louisa?
Yeah, and the rest of the explanation is that Skookum House means not just a jail, but in this dialect, it's imprisoned. So to mamuk, imprisoned, is to jail somebody.
Okay.
So yeah, he said, this man did, he spoke, and we, but we did not come to his house. So it seems like this wawa is, again, being used as sort of he gave an order, okay? So he ordered, this man did, but we didn't, comply with his order. We didn't come to his house. He wanted to imprison Louisa. Louisa, I believe, is the wife of this letter writer. And Alex, would Alex like the next two?
Sure. Yagawawa kakwa kopanasaika, bihelo kakwa yakatamtam, per shirus kopokok, be per shirus wawa posnasaika stewa ush kopa ich house. So he like ordered like that. He said like that to us. And bihelo kakwa yakatamtam. But Per Charus, he didn't feel like that about this, and Father Charus ordered that we pray in one building, one house. And
the ich has the implication being another house, a different house. So, because of that, you actually don't so often see the word chloima, which means different, because ich is so often used to mean a different one. So it's, in a different house. That man spoke like that to us, but not like that is his heart, Per Charus. So yeah, Per Charus doesn't think that way or doesn't agree about this. And Per Charus told us, or said for us to pray in a different house. Let's see here. Gabriele, you will have the next two sentences here.
It's 21 and 22, right?
That's right.
Right. Plus Shirus Kilapai Kopa Westminster, Pi Ukukman Yaga Wawa Kopa Naika, Pusan Saikas Tiwi Kanamox Kopa Yaka. Pi Naika Wawa, Naika Halo Tiki Mash Per Shirus, Yakwawa Kakwa, in Saika mitleid. So, as Shrews returned to Westminster, and the man told me to pray, ordered me. It's good for us to pray together with him. And I said, I don't like mash per Shrews. I'm not quite sure what mash is doing there.
Yeah. Mosh has lots of metaphorical meanings beyond the original sort of throwing, and
Not sure he means to throw.
it's like to leave or to abandon or reject.
Oh, okay.
Those kind of things.
Noted. Okay. Yeah, he said so. And we said or something.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking stayed. We stayed.
Yeah, better.
So the first sentence there is a little bit tricky, but it's a very typical sentence for the way that folks talked in that region. It says, when Shrews returned to Westminster, and well, the and very often means then. So when Shrews returned to Westminster, then this man, he said to me, for us to pray together with him. So again, wawapos is like to order. He ordered me for us to pray together with him. And I said, or answered, I don't want to abandon Père Shrews. He spoke this way, and we stayed at the other house instead of being with this bossy guy. Let's see here. Here's a couple more. And I guess that comes to Caitlin.
I can't hear
her.
Oh.
Maybe.
Are you with us, Caitlin?
She's not muted in Zoom, but I don't think her mic's working. Or it's muted somewhere else.
We're not hearing you for some reason, Caitlin.
Caitlin sa kulan, Micah. Victimamuk. Chagrick took up a Micah computer.
She said she's been having problems with the microphone.
Yeah, I had that happen to me in another session.
She's going to leave and come back.
Yeah.
You're going to redo. Okay, I will move along here to Lauren, and we'll come back to you, to Caitlin. So Lauren, if you'd like these two sentences.
Post Sunday, P Nasaika Mamuk Chinook Paper, Kopet Oko Muk P Woot Sti Iwuto Elo Nasaika Kultus Kuli Post Sunday. On Sundays, and we make Chinook paper. Enough this made, and also pray. We don't engage in bad traveling on Sundays. No bad travel on Sundays.
No Sunday drives for these folks. Yeah. So sentence 23 is another example already of that, maybe puzzling seeming, but common structure for these folks. So it says, when it's Sunday, and meaning then. When it's Sunday, then we do or practice Chinook writing. Done with that work or that activity, and meaning then, again praying. Again we pray. Hello, not we badly or worthlessly, pointlessly travel on Sundays. That was a big deal in this particular environment. You should stay home and be prayerful on Sundays was the idea. Nice. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's in the Grand Ronde dictionary, the list cultus coolie is a pleasure trip.
You can check right now if you want. Right here.
Okay. Yeah, Kaylin, how's things there?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. I don't know what happened there. Alta July 15, Helen Saika Cooley, Saika Mitlai, Tennis Kekoli, Copa Westminster, Clonus Locket Miles. So Miles. So now it's July 15th. We are not running, or none of us run. We live a little under at Westminster. On us something for like number 4 males. I keep on forgetting what Clonus is.
Maybe,
right.
Maybe 4
so maybe
miles.
Miles. So is that not English miles?
It's miles.
Oh, yeah. Miles. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
I just knew that phonetic spelling was going to be a problem. I was trying to dream up a different way.
I don't know. Like maybe with like an umlaut over it or something, but I don't know how many people would.
Yeah. Well, I could do like I did with Taiyi, something like
Miles.
this, to really emphasize that it's 2 syllables, because to English literate people, there's a tendency to make it a single vowel. Yeah. Okay. And just backing up to the start of that. Yeah. Okay. So now it's July 15, and parenthetically, and we aren't traveling. This cultus coolie. We're not wandering around. We are staying where we are located. Tenniskikuli is a little below, and that's an adverb. So because that's an adverb, it's not a preposition, okay? So you can't just say, you can't just say Tenniskikuli Westminster, a little below Westminster. If Tenniskikuli was a preposition, you could obviously say, preposition plus Westminster, right? A little below Westminster. But instead, it's an adverb. It means a little below from Westminster.
Right. And they're talking about like BC, New Westminster, not like England, right? Yeah.
That's right. Most people were calling I think it was still the capital of BC at the time. Well, you guys probably know better than I do.
I don't know. I'm here right now, and I don't remember when it stopped being.
But anyway, they called it Westminster instead of New Westminster. So we're a little below Westminster. And what does below mean? Well, it's this common usage in jargon. It means a little downriver.
Oh, okay.
From Westminster. Yeah.
It probably was that, because I'm not familiar with the geography.
Yeah, and they did not have some of those old, nice, early Chinikawa words, like matlani and maitni and matlali for upstream, downstream, etc. Some of those had been lost, so they just said kikuli and sachali, downstream and upstream.
I watched a really, really cool article, Dave, about somebody who had done research of indigenous languages in like the most remote, I think, of the Indonesian islands, and they had found peoples who did not have words for left and right the way we do. There are some communities who don't have left and right. So they have lived in the same valley, for a very long time. So they would have a word like the mountain side and the river side, or the coast side.
Yeah, I was recently reading something like that as well. There are many cultures that have more words for sort of uphill and downhill, or upstream or downstream, than they have for things like left and right. It's a lot of research about that. The final 3 words here. Oh yeah, that's, maybe 4 miles, or in other words, that is how you would say in jargon, about 4 miles. Bonus, locket miles. A lot of people would just say mile, by the way, locket mile. It's saying it with the S here. In other words, that's pretty clearly somebody who's been exposed to locally spoken English, where we do say miles. Okay. We're close to the end, so I think I will finish it up. It's a bunch of small expressions. So that's highlighted there. Excuse me. Tlachauyam, Nika Charlie Fry, Nika Skookum Tum Tum Kupa Micah, Louisa Wawa, Nika Heloik de Mamuk, Biokuk Man, Tiki Mamuk Skookum House Nika, Louisa Wawa Kapwa, Louisa Wixea Skookum House. So here he's saying, goodbye, I am Charlie Fry. It's a typical way to end these letters. Goodbye, my name is such and such. I powerfully think of you. This is conveying, I fondly remember you, okay? Tum-tum, thinking can mean quite a range of mental activities. It's, he's saying, I fondly remember about you, Father Lejeune. Louisa says, nothing. I halo icta. I not a thing did. So I did nothing. And that man wanted to Mamuk Skookum House to jail me. Louisa says like that. Louisa says that. Louisa almost was jailed. Louisa Wixaya Skookum House. I have a spelling to correct there. I did have a suggestion from a nameless participant here, which is very sensible, that when these words are obscure enough and they're, let's say, only known in a Kamloops area, perhaps it would be wise for us, to make BC jargon lessons using the more widely known words. For example, praying would be something like this, plie. So
I think we can see.
Let's see. Can you see what I'm highlighting here? Maybe I should make that bigger. Well, I didn't realize.
And that was the one taken from French.
Small. Right.
Yeah.
That's a widely known word in jargon, plie.
Or Dave, another option is just to, like, when I was reading it in the shorthand, it looked like stewel to me, that you just get rid of the glottal stops and.
We could. Yeah. I have a feeling, the readership of Kamloops Wawa being largely people who spoke various Salish languages, that they were saying, with no problem, and not pronouncing it the way exactly that the priest wrote it. But
Well, I mean, it makes sense to use the simpler, like the French-based word when we're writing like our own lessons or composing our own letters or something. But I think when we're talking about like actual letters from historical speakers, then wouldn't it make sense to keep what they said in the original and like maybe add like a footnote of what it meant or how to pronounce it?
Why would we want to get rid of the Salish? This word is used all the time in all this BC material. Wouldn't it be nice to still use it?
Yeah, you have witnessed that with your own eyes, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is an extremely common word in Kamloops, Wawa. You know, I don't think it was widely used, or I don't have evidence of people knowing it outside of the Kamloops area, though. So there is this.
This guy's in Westminster, though, and Burnaby,
temporarily, but he's from like North Bend. You know, he's up in interior Salish country.
Canyon,
yeah, Kamloops, Wawa's kind of core area. So yeah, he's not a coast person. The reason you would be at Westminster, typically it was one of these big religious gatherings, one of these festivals,
right,
where people came from all over the province, especially the First Nations people.
You thought that this was a coast word, though, right, Dave?
Yeah, a lot of the Catholic vocabulary in the Kamloops Wawa literature is from the coast languages, and that carries a lot of significant history. It shows how sort of the language was brought from the Fort Vancouver area missionaries up to kind of the Salish Sea, Puget Sound. Tulalip mission was an important place in Washington state. And from then, even further north, you know, to sort of both Victoria and then Westminster areas. So just to say, a whole lot of the missionary activity using Chinook Wawa occurred in Coast Salish territory. And that's the history of a lot of Kamloops Wawa's vocabulary for Christian concepts. So it's quite neat, and it's a lot of it distinctly BC Coast Salish. So that's, you know, that's got a nice claim on being our BC vocabulary for certain concepts. And yet, you know, I think it's a valid question whether non-Indigenous people understood a word like stevia for prayer. So possibly for sort of teaching purposes, we could simplify a little bit of that vocabulary, you know, just word by word, and be able to provide footnotes or leave a little bit of it for more advanced study. You know, when people want to read, you know, the exact words of a letter writer, they can have access to that.
Was steel was that a Kamloops word, or was it actually a, you know, Fraser River?
Yeah, Steetwish is very, very definitely Coast Salish.
So it's not a Kamloops word.
Yeah, not native to the Kamloops area. It's used all the time in these letters as well. You know, you can see this interior Salish fella using it, only that word here for praying, and he uses it a lot.
So a Squamish person would know what Steetwish means.
Yeah, Coast Salish people would know this word immediately. It was similar in all of their languages, not in interior Salish, interestingly. And similar case with words like sietsum that I've exposed you guys to, that means to tell or to report or tell a story. You know, that was a very common Coast Salish word.
Is that the word that Lejeune writes as like tsemtsem or tsimtsim?
Siyisim.
Is that the reporters say? The one I'm thinking
yeah,
of?
And even just to tell.
Yeah.
Interestingly, yeah.
Okay. So that sisum is not a Kamloops word either. It wouldn't be known in
not native to the interior Salish languages there. That's correct, yeah.
Fascinating, thank you.
But the folks who write these letters, they sure do use those words. You know, they learned them if from nowhere else. They learned them from reading Kamloops Wawa and talking with Father Lejeune and the other priests. You know, the priests had all been trained on the coast before they came to the interior. So that's, you know, maybe just a historical footnote. That would amount to us changing about 6 words or something. You know, just a bit of religious vocabulary. You know, you would have words for confession. You know, ha milalam. You might change that to kind of older Chinagwawa, kopes.
Yeah, I mean, like with the kind of low rate of religious affiliation nowadays in this region, I'm not sure how often we would even be talking about, you know, these kinds of words in Chinook jargon. But yeah, I think like in general, I'm more in favor of keeping Salish-based words rather than replacing them with English, because it's kind of what happened over time anyway, as it became more and more entrenched upon by English. And so I kind of like the idea of like the older version of it, but yeah, I think like some of those words are really hard to pronounce, and that makes sense to try to kind of modify them.
Yeah, well, I think to say the least, there will be footnotes about these words every time they come up, you know. So one way or another, we can provide pointers, you know, that let's say non-native people in BC most likely would have said plie and kopes and so forth as an alternative to some of these words that we've seen. That's a good discussion, and I thank all of you. That's going to be useful in preparing further material. I did a little something here. Let's see if you guys are interested in this. Can you see that? I realize I need to zoom in and magnify quite a bit. Elections. Kind of a topic, you know, I'm on the American side of the border here. And it's still election day here.
CNN just called it, actually.
Yeah, I know who they would call it for. Yeah.
I had it on just before the lesson, you know. I was thinking of maybe this morning, you know, I would know it before our session starts. You know, they hadn't made it official at 7:30.
Well, so Nevada maybe, or Pennsylvania finished.
Pennsylvania is called for.
So Pennsylvania, Copa Pennsylvania, Tlaska, Kopit, Mamut, Quenin, Ogok ballots. They may be finished counting. Mamut, Quenin, the ballots. The Onas, Ogok Joe Biden, Yaka Dolo. Masaka Tumtum. Masaka Tumtum Kakwa. Joe Biden, Yaka Dolo.
Halo Slakska, Kopit, Mamut Kanse. Ogok ballot. P. Joe Biden, Yaka Tolo.
Well, Nawitka, Nika Tumtum. Yeah, that's 2 words for counting. By the way, I said Mamuk Quinin, which is more Kamloops, or sorry, more Grand Run, Mamuk Quinin. And Mamukanse, as Alex said, that's counting as well. You know, to make how many is what Mamukanse literally means, which I really like. So elections, I found some references in BC, Chinagwawa, to elections, and we can give you some more vocabulary for talking about them. So here's a little newspaper clipping from a Kamloops Wawa issue. And here it is kind of put into our newer BC alphabet. Do we want to make this a free-for-all translation? You guys can, let's do it word by word. I don't know, here, Masaika? Anybody?
Oh,
Yeah,
You
you folks. What, Tiki?
need to take.
Take, normally Iskin is take. Watchman?
Got it
Oh,
in my dictionary.
is
Like,
this where you
policy.
got the expression for your Facebook post? Iscum post ...
Wait.
Oh yeah. I see what you're referring to, yeah. And watchmen, those were like local minor officials in the villages, kind of like police.
For religious people, weren't they?
Yeah, they're like a religious enforcer. To be honest, they were like the muscle for the priest. Okay, pos is, you know, in order to. Slušnanić, remember this?
Or be careful of.
Yeah, something about
Look out.
Probably keep
Okay.
watch, keep a good
Copa
watch
is-
over us.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, all of that in the quotation marks then. Masaika Tiki Iskim Watchman, the Slušnanić Copa Masaika. Do you folks want to take or pick or elect watchmen to take care of you? Here I'm going to throw a highlight on that word, iskim. So it looks like iskim here is equivalent to elect. Folks want to elect watchmen to take care of you. Pluska, and go ahead, anybody. Pluska.
They,
Someone. Oh, sorry.
What?
say,
Say
Novitka.
for sure.
Or even
yes.
yes. He.
And
Pluska.
they
Iskim.
elected
Moxt.
to
Watchman.
a religious enforcer. Sorry.
The Watchmen. Some of you might have comic book references in your mind there for Watchmen. Kakwa, they elected two, let's go, Iskin, Kakwa,
Likewise.
yeah, like as Localisti. Anybody know Localisti?
Eucharist?
To be honest, I should have spelled it this way, Localisti. Yeah, Eucharist, Watchmen. So that whole sentence here.
Oh, okay.
That was kind of the official title of some of these guys. They said yes, and they elected two watchmen as Eucharist watchmen. The Eucharist, boy, I don't know if any of you can explain the Eucharist to non-Catholics better than I. For me, it's just a round piece of bread. Here, Flaska name.
Their names.
Their names. Okok, Moxt,
Those two watchmen.
And here you go. John Peter Spilumchin. P. Louis, another Salish name, something like Ok Isumnum. So yeah, their names, those two watchmen, John Peter Spilumchin. It's like the place in BC, Spalumchin. And Louis Ok Isumnum. Couple of Salish names for you. Yeah, so there you have a news report right there from one of the native communities in 1894 about an election of one kind. Here's another for you. And all of this boils down to just these couple of lines here. So, Yawa,
Here.
it means there, and
Then.
yeah, in Kamutsuawa, it means then. And I should say this is from the middle of an article, a news article. So here I think it means then, and then we have a place name.
Head Lake.
Head Lake. Anybody familiar with that?
Alex?
That's the head of the lake Indian Reserve, north end, I believe, of Okanagan Lake.
Oh, okay.
It's always called Head Lake in jargon. Nice local color there. It's always Head Lake. The Head Lake Tilikum, Mamuknain,
Named it.
which is equivalent to electing.
Mm.
There. Ichtaman, so one man.
A certain man.
Mm-hmm. Pos, now let's translate pos carefully.
In order, no way. For.
Yeah. In order, right? In
Yeah.
order, because we're getting
To
into
rule.
a point of jargon grammar here. Tai is not just a chief, but in this language, it's to be chief.
Mm.
So, in order to be chief, pos tai, ko patlaska. So, ko patlaska is
Over them.
over them, to them, for them, and put it all together. Then the, oh, hey, sorry. There's actually a little more, but let's just do this sentence. Then the Head Lake people named or elected one man, a certain man, to be chief for them. And yeah, here's the rest of the story. Tlaska, they
voted.
and here's Iskum again.
Chose.
Uh-huh.
Look,
How's my
Joseph.
phonetic writing here? Isaac. Pus.
To be
In
the
order.
chief.
Yeah,
Again.
in order. And then take this together. Tlaskatai.
To be the boss.
Yeah, to be their chief.
Yeah.
So yeah, they elected Isaac to be their chief. So some short little examples there, which tell you some pretty useful expressions regarding elections. So Saika Boston Telecom Yakwa Nasaika Eskom Joe Biden was Nasaika Dayi.
Mm.
B Nasaika Eskom Kamala Harris was Nasaika Sitcom Dayi.
Mm.
I don't think I published that yet, but I'm writing an interesting post that comes out of this research, where I show you jargon had some pretty established words for sort of levels of authority, levels of chiefdom.
And so sitcom tai was actually used then, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
There's tennis
So
tie as well.
that's right.
In the trip to Europe, when they're visiting Parliament in Ottawa, Legin, he says Hayas Tai Copa Canada for the Prime Minister.
Yeah. Yeah, highest tai is definitely is used a lot, you know. I don't know why I felt uncomfortable calling a U.S. president highest tai. That's part of our political culture, I guess, reflected in my speech. But, you know, dai, why not? There's no other word for boss or leader. So there you have it. And that's all that I really prepared for us, you know, so.
I see Dale has joined us. Hello, Dale.
Dale, do you have audio connection?
Yeah.
Did you yet?
And unfortunately, I was dealing with some email with Jay. Jay's been having trouble, can't get in here today for some reason.
No.
Well, like I told you before, Rain, you know, I didn't need that code, the numerical code, but when I joined, I got an email saying you have now joined the meeting and so on and so on.
Okay, and folks, well, I'll send the link again next week, but it should be that same link now for the next 2 months. So
awesome.
We'll just see how that works. So yeah. Oh, I see. Dale has no microphone. Okay. So. Well, you got a keyboard, Dale. So we're happy to see you here.
That's it. Oh, chat's disabled.
I was trying to tell you when my microphone wasn't working.
Oh, Lord. Okay, now, okay, let's. Okay, sorry. Then on this. Okay, let's. No, that's
genius. That's genius.
Now, why is okay?
Saganonich.
Well, we okay.
Yeah, that's the word that is used constantly. You know, the word for winning in a gambling game, dolo, is also used for winning an election. I don't know if I have ever heard an expression in jargon for losing an election. You know, maybe we can. Maybe, yeah, I know. Yeah, maybe we just have to say didn't win.
Yeah, Halo.
You know, there are words for losing things or getting lost. But yeah, I see. I haven't really heard, you know, sort of solo. That's like to get lost. You know, to lose your way. Or tsipi, sometimes you see that for loss, but it really means tsipi is like to make a mistake.
Are those used in BC? Because I know they're like in the Grand Ron dictionary, but I also haven't seen them reading stuff.
Yeah, tsipi it shows up in Kamloops, Wawa, and the letters from people there. Let's see. Oh, not really solo though. Yeah, that didn't really survive the rush of getting to BC as fast as possible to get some gold. The language became kind of simplified in that process. Yeah, that dulo word for winning is in native languages. Do they have that in Nukhalk, Dale?
I think he just had a message that it was.
Yeah. He's going very quickly.
Oh, and they borrow the word lost, right? Oh, there you go. Yeah. Thank you. Because lost, this is great. I love this medium. Lost actually is in jargon in BC. That's right. It's all over the province. Yes. So the word for losing is to say, you know, Yaka lost. You know, she lost the election.
Is it for lost like losing an election, or is it for like lost like you're in the woods and don't know how to get home?
Yeah. I think it's for being lost also. It's definitely for losing misplacing an object.
Okay.
Yeah, we have people talking about you know, Naika lost Naika Dala, Naika Dicky Mosh Kopa Masaika. I misplaced the dollar that I meant to send to you. Yeah, lost. There we go, and that's cool. It's so widespread in BC. In jargon, I think maybe a reflection of that is, lost being borrowed into Nukhal in the language up there. What do you guys say? Central Coast.
I can only see like the first like
Nika
3
Halo
words.
Chaco. Can Dale full screen?
he could share screen like a Word document.
He showed the last word just for you.
And that's local pronunciation
Mm.
around Bellacoola jargon, right? Ikdi.
Hmm.
Nika Dum Dum.
Ikti, doesn't that mean the first?
Actually, Dale, you should be able to share screen if you like, if you have anything to share.
Uh-huh.
It's a giant Word document.
Exactly.
Just pick out the words you want to.
Mm.
This is good. We're testing the limits of
Well,
Zoom's features.
Yeah, this is for it. It was fine when there was like 3 or 4 people, 5 or 6 people, but now trying to automate this in some way, boy oh boy, I'm learning. I got to read the instructions.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing. Lost.
This, I think,
Okay.
LOL, shouldn't that be HKH?
Or less.
Thank you, Dave, for appreciating that.
Skookum hee hee, SH, I guess.
Skookum. I like that.
See if it catches on. That's a suggestion by you, Dale. Naika Kinta Chaco, I'm thinking.
Now, have we been writing Kimta instead of Kimta?
I write it Kim Ta. Plain
Yeah.
K. Kim Ta. Popping T.
Right.
Oh, that was that. I was going to ask something about the Kilapai Copa earlier in the letter because I'd seen it in line 21, and Copa takes the place of all the pronouns. The prepositions. So I wasn't sure. Kilapai is a return, but is it return to Westminster or return from Westminster? I was thinking perhaps in other sentences that could be returning from somewhere.
Yeah. Well, it could be either. That's one of the hardest questions in jargon. There's no real definite way to say come from or come to. Return from, return to, go from, go to.
A hand signal might help.
Exactly. Folks would wave their hands and then you just rely in our case on all the words around it. To make your best guess. We could actually research, like historically research whether this means return to or return from. We could find out what Père Charus was doing on such and such a day. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, there was something else. Maybe you can help me out, because the letter was written after July 15th. I think when you scroll back up to the beginning, it was July 20th, and it's still the same letter. Yeah. No, it was the 15th. Oh, sorry, it was the 15th. Yeah, okay, yeah, that takes care of it, because could have been since July 15th, we have not traveled, we have not been doing this, but it just means as of today.
Alto July 15.
Now is July 15th. So this is when he was writing that.
Mm-hmm. You touch on kind of an interesting detail. In a lot of these letters, you can tell that people were adding to them from day to day as they had new thoughts. Or other people would just grab the paper and start writing their thoughts on it in some cases. Yeah, so at some point I need to make my collection of these letters, available. I have the intention of publishing it as a book. It's kind of my idea, because they're the best material available in the language, right? It's definitely people kind of writing the way that they spoke, and there's very little, printed material of that kind available for learners.
Dave, I have a question, and we could continue this over email if it ends up being a long discussion, but is there any records of Chinook jargon being used in the labor movement out in BC? Like, I know like the miners out in the Kootenays had a pretty strong socialist moment at the kind of around that time. Do you know if Chinook jargon was involved at all in that movement?
I haven't really heard.
Okay.
But now that you've mentioned it, who knows what I'll notice? Just when people ask questions, you start to see things, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm studying right now in one of my classes. So if I find anything, I'll send it your way. But I was kind of curious if I would run into any jargon from that time.
I would love to see that. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me tremendously, but then, labor movements, I think, by their nature, are a little more settler-ish. So maybe
I think
relying on English.
Yeah, there weren't very many First Nations people there, but I was thinking I think there was some activity around like kind of the canneries or the fishing industry, and I know like that was a little bit more multi-ethnic. But
yeah, and jargon was definitely a cannery language, yeah. And as Jay Powell will tell us, it's the logging industry. Thank you. That's the word. Yes, it was a language of loggers. Yeah. And I see that we are at 9 o'clock, so it's a good hour. Good hour.
Well, I'm really happy that everybody made it. Sorry, Dale, that you were having trouble with your mic, but glad to see you here. So we'll be back together next week, and everybody should have the link for next week. But I'll be resending it anyway, just in case. So, so all I've got is Klahaoya.
Thank you.
Afgain Psycho Wawa Kanamost. Klushnanich Kanawi.